Happy New Year! Happy New Year. Do you remember the New Year's Eve was it just a few months ago? It seems like 10 years ago. And we were all saying how fantastic 2020 was going to be. Well, 2020 was definitely fantastic, but not in a way we all thought it was going to be. And, you know, less than 60 days later, I was in a lockdown, the world was starting to go into lockdown, and we're entering into what I think is the biggest shift in human history for a long, long time. And it's going to go on, I believe, for another couple of years. It's going to be a tough 2 or 3 years that's coming. And many companies are going to shut down. Many companies are struggling right now and don't know what to do. And in a moment, I'm going to be talking to McKinley Holmer from Eddie who's one of those companies who's not going to shut down because they've shifted into another form of business. And the reason I invited McKinley on to Argon TV was because the goal of Argon TV is to help share knowledge with the industry so that we can all survive not only this time that we're going through, but we can grow healthy and wealthy in the future. So in a moment, we're going to talk to McKinley. But first, if this is your first time here at Argon TV, beneath this video, there is a little box where you can put your name and your email address and be part of the community. And you will never miss another one of our videos. You will never miss the magazines that we give away, and you'll get to be part of the community and to receive loads of help and information from us and from each other. So join the community. Use the box beneath the video. And if you're on YouTube, just go over to my website. There's a link and do the same thing. So Eddie Sound is a company who has shifted. And this is one of the things that we're all going to have to do in the next couple of years. In fact, Argon TV came because of a shift that we had to do. Everyone's going online. We also went online because basically there's nothing else to do right now. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome to Argon TV, Mr. McKinley Holmer from Eddie Sound. McKinley, welcome to Argon TV. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing as well as anybody can do, I guess. Maybe a little bit better, but.
Yep, that's great. It's good to hear that some people are doing really, really well. And, you know, we've been talking over the last few days by Facebook and everything. And I started to look into your website, and it seems what we need right now is some kind of business continuity plan for a pandemic, and you seem to have one. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, maybe you could just introduce yourself to the community. Tell us who you are, and then also tell us a little bit about Eddie Sound and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, my name is McKinley Holmer. I'm 22 years old, out of Colorado. I came to Colorado Springs for school actually 4 years ago. With no intentions of entering this industry whatsoever. Stumbled upon it through just the college job website. Worked part-time for about 3.5 years, and then came on full-time right at the beginning of 2020. Was 2 days away from going on to salary, and then my boss laid me off those 2 days before. So it was definitely a punch in the gut, because at that point I'd kind of thrown all of my eggs into one basket, as you would say. But here we are, somehow 7-8 months later, still kicking. So essentially, after I decided that I wanted to pull all my eggs in this basket, I came to my boss and I was like, look, let's learn something new. We got all this free time on our hands. Let's learn time coding, because that was something that we had not kind of ventured off into yet, that we wanted the company to push towards. We just hadn't had the time before. So he was like, you know what, you go ahead and do that, figure it out on your own and have fun with it. Because he was off trying to keep the business alive and watching kind of everything burn right before our eyes. So about 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, I would come into our shop, into our pre-made sort of lighting lab, we call it now, which was it was originally just designed for internal use, for our own programming and learning and stuff like that. So I would come in starting out a few hours a week, and then it bumped up and it kept on going up and up. Till eventually a couple months later, I was putting out a time code every 2 or so weeks, and we would flip the rig every 2 or so weeks after that, to something completely different. So that's kind of the infancy of the lighting lab. It was designed for our own internal and our own learning. And then Matthew Stonebeck is the owner of Eddie Sound. He's been the owner of it for 12 years, all the way since the start. He's one of those people you don't meet often. He's one of the most intuitive, driven. He's like what you read about entrepreneurships or entrepreneurs in entrepreneur books. Like they're those people that work 80 hours a week and they don't stop. They just grind and grind and grind. So he, after about the first like 2, 3, 4 weeks where he was like basically watching everything crumble, he basically collected himself and was like, all right, what can we do? So he reached out to a local artist that we know and was like, hey, come in here and shoot a music video with us. He had this crazy idea of Justin Timberlake with lasers coming down over top of him. And he was like, I want to do that. So we did it. We made the music video, made some awesome connections. And from there, he reached out to photographers, and we got some models and photographers into our space. They had a great time. And then we got more music videos and more photographers. And then that transpired into cars and more music videos and all sorts of other crazy stuff that if you told me that we would be in basically neck deep 8 months ago, I would have told you you're crazy. Like there's no way that we would be having these kinds of people in our shop and having these people utilize our space and our tools. So that, I guess, is the long story short of the last 8 months of Eddie Sound.
Yeah, and I think you must be really happy that you chose this moment to go into this industry.
You know,
you couldn't have chose better timing, eh?
You know, we keep on calling it a blessing in disguise, you know, because we were on track for our biggest year ever. We were on track to start buying video walls and all sorts of other fun stuff. And it's turned into this, I guess I've learned more in the last 4 or 5 months even than I have in the last 4 years about all of this. 4 or 5 fold. So we don't plan on stopping this kind of doing this side of the business, I guess, after COVID.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. Sorry to interrupt you. In the book Think and Grow Rich, I don't know if you've read that by Napoleon Hill, he talks about in every element of bad, there's always an element of good. You just simply have to find it. And I think what you said is really interesting. It's a blessing in disguise. And you know, there's two ways you can look at it. One, you can just say, my life is over, I give up. And the other one is saying, I need to find a way to shift into something new. And I think that once this is all over, and I believe that it will one day all be over, we'll all go back to normal life. It's probably going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to happen at some stage. I still believe that what is happening online, which has just been this massive explosion, is going to continue. So everything that we learn now is going to be beneficial for us. And if you think about how much money we're saving in not setting up events, not renting hotels, not flying to, and you know, all the costs that go with it, creates more profitability for the corporation because you're in your home base and you can do stuff there, and people can come to you and you can still churn out stuff. And you know, for years and years and years, we've been telling everyone how creative we are. Well, now's the time to be creative. You know, anyone can sail a ship in nice water, but when it gets really tough, like it is right now, we got to start being creative and start working together. So one of the reasons I invited you on today was because you have shifted, and I wanted you just to share what you're doing with your space so that we can hopefully inspire other people with spaces to not give up hope and, you know, come up with new ideas and new things. So It's great to have you here. What was Eddie Sound doing before all of this? What was your traditional work?
So we're a multifaceted production company. It's called Eddie Sound, but we started out with lighting. We found Matt Stoneback found out that lighting is what makes money. You can rent lighting gear and all day long, and people will buy it. And so we run lighting, audio, backline. We dabble in video. We don't necessarily like to do video all that much, but we know we're gonna have to at some point anyways. But on top of that, I mean, one thing that we think sets us apart is I think a lot of people can probably attest to this, but our ability to just kind of work in whatever environment is kind of thrown in us. Doesn't matter what it is, what the client is. If they want us to do it, then we do it. We do it with a smile on our faces. That's kind of how we run things.
Excellent. Well, that's a great intro. So in a moment, we're going to be talking about Lighting Lab. I'm going to ask you some questions about what it is and how people can get involved with it. But before that, we're just going to take a quick short break. We'll be back in just one moment. Welcome back to Argon TV. I am joined by the one and only McKinley Holmer from Eddie Sound. We are talking about how his company is pivoting and shifting from their traditional business into what they now call Lighting Lab. So first of all, what is Lighting Lab?
So the Lighting Lab is our creative space, I guess. It's our experimental, fun, but somehow beginning to make money kind of space.
And as a space, how big is this space?
So the building we're in is about 3,500 square feet, and approximately a third of that is offices, and then the other two-thirds of that is warehouse. The structure itself takes up probably somewhere about a 20-foot by 35 to 40-foot square feet area.
Cool. Sounds great. And just to give you an idea of what Lighting Lab actually looks like, there is Lighting Lab. This is a photo right behind me. And that's kind of what it is. So can people come in and hire this space from you, or how does that work?
So the start of it was just our creative space. Eventually, after we started inviting some of these creatives, these photographers and videographers and music videos and stuff like that, we thought to ourselves, hey, we could profit off of this maybe start to break even on some of our building expenses that are just draining us dry right now. So we run for a set price with a minimum of 2 hours. And basically with that, they get whatever look is in the Lighting Lab at that time, because we do flip it every 2, 3, 4 weeks to something completely different. So they get whatever's in there, and then they get the tech, which is usually me, to run all the lights to whatever they desire, essentially. And then all the hospitality, the restrooms, water bottles, all that good stuff.
Excellent. So can a client come in and like ask for changes to be made to the way it looks, or is that something that you do yourself?
So if it's if it's physically moving fixtures around, like making a whole different rig and set in the back, then we'll definitely we charge a lot more for that, just because it's a whole other animal that we have to tackle on our end. Usually it takes us about 12 to 18 hours over 1 or 2 days to completely flip the lighting rig over. And a lot of times it's just me, because my boss is off making actual money for the company. So it'll usually take me about 2 to 3 days to completely flip over the rig. And then, so they get whatever rig is up, but after that, they just ask me when they're there, hey, can you throw up this color or these lights or whatever? And I'll do it for them.
Cool. And you were talking about Justin Timberlake coming into the property. Just to give an idea of Like if someone watching this has got a space that they can, do something similar with, what kind of projects have you been doing?
So just to clarify, it wasn't actually Justin Timberlake.
Okay. Okay.
It was, the idea was inspired by Justin Timberlake.
Gotcha.
But the
Maybe,
artist that came
that'll
in,
happen soon.
maybe, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But I'll pull up some pictures right now. So this video shoot was inspired by Justin Timberlake's, I believe it was Man of the Wild tour that he went on. So this artist is Jared Gibson. We've known him for a while. He's local here in Colorado Springs. Incredible guy, humble as anything. But basically we had 8 lasers up in a circle truss directly above him, and we shot them straight down over top of him.
Cool.
For some incredible imagery. So yeah, we started out with that. And then from there, the one thing that we've learned, if we learned one thing throughout this entire pandemic situation, is that connection is everything. If you don't know how to connect with people, you're going to struggle, especially in this industry. And by this, I'm talking creatively as a whole. We have branched out into photography, videography, and vehicle photography of all things. The quality of people that we've met has been astonishing. Like the skill of these people is incredible. It's been a really incredible and also humbling experience to meet and work with a lot of these people. Just because they're perfectionists, they're experts in their own rights, while we're here. I'm a glorified button pusher. I flash pretty lights. That's my job description. These people come in here and they're legitimate videographers and photographers and all this stuff. So it's been really humbling to be around them and all that stuff. But this is kind of the birthplace, this music video of the Lighting Lab.
Now, this is awesome. And I think what you just said just now is very true, that the way we're going to get through this is by coming together and supporting each other and, collaborations. And this is exactly why Argon TV was created, to help connect all of us together so that, I can share what you're doing with the community. Other people can be inspired, they can get in touch with you. I'm sure you'll help them out. If they say, how did you set this up? What can we do? But absolutely, connections are one of the most important things. And, Argon TV is all about connections. So brilliant. I see you've been doing, as it says, music videos, photography studio, and generally a creative space. You were talking about car launch as well, yes?
Yeah. So, long story short, there's a form of photography, I guess, called light painting, which is essentially just a long exposure photograph that is lit, I guess, segmented in a way. So another example of light painting would be this. Our kind of resident in-house light painter is Russell Klimas. He's here in Colorado Springs. But basically everything you see in this picture here is one single exposure. There's no Photoshop. The only kind of editing in it would be like color retouching and stuff like that. So with cars, basically you can get these really kind of picture-like or poster-like images that look like they're like coming out of a calendar, that look like they've been photoshopped into the space. So you can essentially do it everywhere, but it's always cooler with lasers and lights in the background. So that's kind of what we've transitioned into doing that with.
Yeah, and that's cool. It's interesting you talk about light painting. In fact, our last interview was with a guy called Hugo Baptista.
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, who's a light painter, and he's doing some incredible stuff. So it's great how you can combine all these different things together to make one new project. I love that. Fantastic. So you also do music videos, car launches, photography, light painting. I love you saying you're a button pusher. It amazes me It amazes, because I've been in laser since 1989, and it amazes me that I've actually managed to survive all this time just by pushing buttons.
Right.
So,
That's all we are.
yeah, absolutely. And my task was just to basically make people go wow and give them an amazing moment so they can forget all their crap in their life.
Yep.
So brilliant. So what's the future for Lighting Lab? Where's it going?
So we have every intention of keeping this as a thing in the company post-pandemic. Even right now, we are actually starting to pick up some other shows. We work a lot with the Broadmoor Hotel, if you've heard of it. It's a 5-star, 5-diamond here in the Springs. So a lot of very high class clients will come there. So we're doing a handful of work with them here right now. But we're not holding our breath for those to stick around, I guess. So basically, as my boss would say, we just gotta keep on aiming for the next thing. We can't stay stagnant. We can't let our guard down, I guess. Even myself, I've been off unemployment for probably about 3 months now. I'm making a few paychecks here and there, but I'm still doing stuff. I'll call it working, but I'm still here learning, working for 40, 50 hours a week. Whether it's trying to perfect my craft or expand our reach or find new connections, stuff like that. So it's after COVID, we have no intention of stopping this project. It has been a blast. It's been it's been more fun than many of the other gigs that we've been on. We've met some incredible people. We're going to meet some incredible people. It's been incredible. If I could say that word enough, it's been such a great experience to have access to something like this.
But I think your attitude to all of this is really amazing. And I think it's really important that you have a good attitude. We could all slash our wrists and say, let's all shut down, but we cannot. We have to continue our role in life as artists, and we are performers and entertainers. I remember being told, one of my friends used to call me, the greatest entertainer around. And he says, I'm not an entertainer, And then one day I realized, actually, I am an entertainer. That is my role in life. I'm an entertainer. And we have to shift. It is our role in life to entertain and create these moments of magic for other people. And I think we're needed more than ever right now. So I believe that even if the governments announced that the pandemic was over today, it would take some time for the world to get back to normal. People will have to get faith in the health systems, and we'll still do the social distancing for a while. There's still people that are going to wear masks. It's going to take a while to get back to normal. So I really truly believe that what you just said is true, that this kind of entertainment, this kind of work is here to stay. And Argan TV was born out of, we've been talking about doing it for a long time. I was talking about doing it last year. Let's start this interview series going, and I didn't, because I just didn't. And then all of a sudden I've got nothing to do, nothing else to do, and I said, damn it, we've got to do this. And even when the pandemic is over, we will continue growing this. In fact, I'm just actually waiting for argantv.com to be released to me, so that we can actually do it properly on its own site. But this is going to last for a long time. It's going to be part of the events industry. And I really believe that what you're doing is also. So it's great to see that you have shifted away from what you were traditionally doing into a new format, and a format that is going to be around for a long time. If you were to give some tips about how people can get started doing what you're doing, what's the first thing that they should do?
You can't be afraid to reach out to people. You're gonna miss all the shots you don't take. Basically, it just comes down to sucking up your own pride, shooting a message off to a photographer that you like, or a videographer, or an artist, or a band, or whatever, anything. And even if you don't have a space, if you have the tools, you bring the tools to them, and your skill set to them. Essentially, I would say the number one thing is knowing how to connect to people, and not being afraid to do so. And that's one of the things that a lot of people are. And what my boss initially was, there was the very first photographer he reached out to, he wrote out a message and he looked over it a number of times, like a teenager trying to send a text to a girl or something. Like he was working it up. And he was almost like, you know what, I'm just not going to send it. Why would he want to come here? And we just looked at each other and we just said, screw it, send it. And we sent it, and we got some of the, I would say, best photographers in the state in our space, and taking pictures of, beautiful models in our space with our lights behind them. Like and it all happened because of that one message. So the number one thing I would say is just shoot your shot. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, myself, I'm going to start reaching out to a number of bands and people around the country. The odds of some of them making the trip out here are slim to none, and I know that. But best case, they come. An all right case is they at least remember me and remember the company, and they're like, hey, we want to shoot a music video. Let's hit them up again and see if they're still alive. Worst case, they never even see the email, and I move on. And that's the other thing too, is you can't get stuck. You either can't get stuck looking for perfection. So if you put something out, say I've been putting out these time codes, we've been putting them on our YouTube for the whole 7 months or whatever. We have like 4 or 5 that are backlogged right now that I still got to nag my boss to push out onto YouTube. But you can't sit around and say, is this good enough for me? Because at the end of the day, you're not the one that's going to be taking that content in. Basically, you have to say, is this good enough, period, as in for the people that are going to watch this and the people that are going to take this in. And from there, you move on, because you're not going to get better by staring at the same thing for 5, 10, 15 hours. You have to keep moving. So looping back, you have to keep going to the next connection. You have to keep searching for that next one that's going to hit, because you'll message 100 people before the first one says yes, is what it comes down to. So you can't dwell on what could have been with this one person. You have to keep on looking ahead towards the next one. And then I guess the final thing is just don't stop. I mean, it sounds easy. To this day, I still go up and down. I'll have my days where I just sit at home and I'm like, God, this is a waste of my time. This industry is not going to exist in a few years. Like I should go and expand my skill set somewhere else. But in my mind, for me personally, I know I'm going to be okay, because I know I can be resourceful in whatever I do. So when I just think of that, I'm like, well, yeah, so I'll be fine. So let me keep pushing towards this passion that I have and expanding the skill set that I do have, so that if we do make it out on the other side, it's kind of harsh to say, but a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people already haven't. They're already gone. So if I'm sticking out this much longer, I'm just going to be that extra. I'm one of the few that are still left. So those are kind of the thoughts that keep me, I guess, alive.
And yeah, absolutely. I think this is brilliant. And how we met was exactly with what you just said. You sent me a message on Facebook. I didn't know who you were 7 or 8 days ago, never heard of you. And here we are now talking, sharing tips and advice, helping out the industry. And you did that exactly the same. You just sent me a Facebook message and said hello. And it's interesting because when I first started Argon TV, I was scared shitless to do this. Interviewing these industry leaders, I thought, who the hell's going to want to talk to me? So I started with people I knew. I've been using Pangolin products since 2001. And me and William Benner have had many conversations backwards and forwards. So I reached out to Bill and said, would you be my first guest? Because you literally started my career all those years ago. And he said, I'd love to. So, I started where I was. But one of the things I found amazing was how many people don't reply, don't want to take advantage of it. And these are the very ones that are complaining and bitching about how terrible the world is going to be. And they don't reply. So to be successful now is actually quite easy. All you have to do is reply, turn up, come on Argon TV, do something new like you did, and just send it out to 1,000 people. Someone's going to reply. Someone's going to say, I like this. And earlier you were talking.
And I'll interrupt you here for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the first 3 or 4 months when online EDM festivals and DJ sets and stuff like that were in its like they were in their prime, they were really starting to pop up. We thought we have this industrial space with a full lighting setup with a rig that's full ready for an LED and a DJ front and center right there. It's right there. We can see a DJ right in our space. And we said, and we were like, yeah, let's reach out to some DJs. So I reached out to about a dozen local DJs in and around the state. Not a single one replied. So you would be amazed at how difficult it is to give away free stuff. We weren't even asking for payment. We have been doing that's the other thing too. We've been doing for the first 4, 5, 6 months, everything we did was pro bono. We didn't make a single penny off of any of it. It was the proof of concept and it was the building the relationships that got us to these paying things. So now that we're actually starting to make money off of our space by renting it and renting our services and stuff like that, you can't be focused on the money. You have to do some stuff for free. You have to give up some of your time, some of your effort, but you have to also know that it's going to pay off in the end.
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable. And I see a lot of people on Facebook within our industry complaining about how badly they're doing. And I send them messages saying, hi, I saw your post the other day about, you were really struggling. Would you like to feature some of your shows or some of your, whatever it is you're doing on Argon TV? Because we have a magazine as well. So every month on the first of the month, I put out a magazine. You'll be in the next magazine. And they don't get back to me. And I go, what's the matter with these people? So it's really shocking that for me that this happens, but it also means that for those people who boldly go forward, success is so much easier for us because there's so many people who excel in being unsuccessful. And as I said earlier, your attitude is really fantastic. I could talk to you all day the way you talk. And obviously your boss is similar the way you talk about him, and I can see why you're working together. So it's been great having you here. I really appreciate you spending the time sharing what you're doing. Beneath this video, I'm going to put some of your videos so that people can see, what it is you're offering and get inspired. But I want to thank you for coming on Argon TV, sharing your talent, sharing your knowledge with what you're doing, so that we can help other people also shift and get through all of this crazy time. If people want to get in touch with you and need any help or advice or anything, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
You can hit up eddiesound.com under our lighting lab page. We have stuff about the rental down there, though I doubt any of the viewers actually want to rent something. Otherwise, you can hit me up on my personal Instagrams. It's just at McKinley Holmer on Instagram, or the company's Instagram at eddie.sound. Because of all the photographers and stuff like that, we're really active on Instagram. So those would probably be the best two places to hit us up first.
Brilliant. And I'll put those links in the text in the description beneath this video as well. So thank you, McKinley. I want to appreciate you spending the time here today. You look like you're a bit cold in that jacket as well. I don't actually even know where Colorado Springs is.
We're like probably we're kind of the middle of the Midwest, right in the Rocky Mountains. So we've been warm for a little bit. We have the strangest up and down weather you've ever seen. It'll be 80 degrees one day and snow the next. So
Amazing. And I just thought, I'm actually reading a book right now called, I don't know if you've ever read this book, Who Moved My Cheese? This
have
is
not.
a book that's very fitting for our time. It's about 4 little characters who every day go to eat cheese, and then one day there's no cheese. And the story is what they do, each of those 4 characters. Is actually one of the best-selling business books ever. I'll put a link beneath the video as well to this. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's about what people do when their cheese is moved. And right now, we've all had our cheese moved. There's no events, no shows going on. So our cheese is all gone. And what we do next is what separates the men from the boys. So it's a very good book. I recommend that you get it and read it. I think there's also a YouTube video of it as well. But it's a great, I'd share that with you because I think it's very, very fitting for the time that we're going through right now. So thank you for being here today. And to the audience, thank you very much for being part of Argentee. We really appreciate you, and we're here to help you as much as we possibly can by sharing information. And if you need to reach out to any of us, just feel free to connect with us. And we'll see you all again soon on Argentee. So McKinley, thank you very much for being here. It's been a pleasure having you. I hope we can keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you again on another episode of Argentee. Hope you'll come back one day.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, cool. Thanks so much.